Hi everyone and welcome back to BS Rambles. Today I'm going to go over a build path for Garrosh that I think is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to turn Garrosh into a high damage, high disruption melee bruiser, probably most similar to Arthas in the way that he's going to be terrifyingly walking down his enemies who have no hope of escaping, while dealing significant damage. I just want to preface this build with a couple of things. Firstly, I do not think this is going to be the highest win rate talent path. If you want the statistically best talent path, I would guess that it's going to be his Groundbreaker build with his level 10 alt and 20 both going into the taunt. If there is interest, I can make a guide on that after, but for now I'm going to focus on this. The second thing is that I don't look at any other build guides before making these videos. My hope is that I free myself from other people's biases so I can get creative and try to bring you guys something unique. And if it's a little bit off of meta, I don't really think that that's a bad thing. Third and finally is that I'm on the PTR right now, which means that some of this is subject to change, and that also is the reason that in all of this footage I'm against AI, because it takes about an hour to get a quick match game if you want to play Garrosh on the PTR right now. Now, without further ado, I'll dive right into what I think Garrosh's most fun build path is, starting with one of the more unique mechanics Blizzard has added, and that's to allow you to select a talent that essentially becomes another basic ability, and even has other talents later to add to it, the way that they might for any other basic ability in the game. I'm talking about Body Check. Body Check is an active ability dealing damage and slowing targets. These effects are increased when Garrosh is at lower health. This is going to add another damage button to hit during your rotation on top of Bloodthirst, allowing you to dish out a bit more damage. At level 4, we have the choice of two talents that are going to be matchup dependent. If you can afford to, take Thirst for Battle, which makes basic attacks against heroes reduce the cooldown of Bloodthirst by 2 seconds. This is another way to increase your single target damage, and it also has the benefit of increasing your sustain during fights as well. A lot of the time, however, it will be better to take Indomitable, which makes you unstoppable for 1.5 seconds. This is a great active ability which is going to allow you to stick to the enemy's backline without getting peeled. There is a good chance that following a pull with Groundbreaker that CCs like Malfurion's Entangling Roots will land on you really quickly, and this is a great way of negating those CCs which allow you to follow through with your attacks on the backline. At level 7 we're going to take Brute Force. This makes it so enemies hit by Body Check receive 50% less healing for 4 seconds. This is going to be amazing because as Garrosh, you can decide who your team focuses down with Groundbreaker and Wrecking Ball by yanking them into a position where they're vulnerable. Now by hitting those targets with Body Check, you're basically guaranteeing that they'll die and hopefully even wasting the enemy support's abilities as well. At level 10 we're going to take Decimate. It deals damage around Garrosh and slows the targets by 30% for 1.5 seconds. It stores 3 charges and it has a surprisingly wide radius. Although the AoE taunt is hard to resist, our goal with this build is not to be a main tank, it's to be a frontline bruiser, and this is going to be another tool that is going to allow us to deal more damage, but also allow us to stick to our targets. At level 13, we have another hard choice because this talent tier is all about survivability. Defensive Measures is my recommendation if you went Indomitable at level 4. It's going to give you a 350 shield for 6 seconds when you pull a hero with Groundbreaker, which is what you'll be doing at the start of almost every single fight. And it will help reduce the initial punishment that you take for yanking an enemy right on top of you, allowing you to be a bit more aggressive with your pulls. If you took Thirst for Battle, then the reduced cooldown on Bloodthirst gives you extra value to the talent Bloodcraze, which makes it so every time Bloodthirst hits a hero, you gain 10% of your maximum health over 3 seconds. This is awesome because you should be using Bloodthirst whenever it's off cooldown in battle, including at the very start. However, because Bloodthirst heals you based on a percentage of your missing HP, its defensive value at the beginning of fights is very low. This talent gives huge healing on Bloodthirst strikes no matter what your current health is at. At level 16, we're going to take Earthshaker. This makes Wrecking Ball stun enemies near the impact area for 0.75 seconds, including the enemy that you threw. Adding a ranged AoE stun to your kit is invaluable. It adds tons of utility to Wrecking Ball and it also helps you lock down and burst the backline better. I really didn't expect to see something like this in Garrosh's kit, but I'm more than happy to take advantage of it while it's here. Finally, at level 20, we're going to continue to pile into Body Check at every opportunity by taking Inner Rage. This gives Body Check a second charge and also makes its cooldown recharge 100% faster when you're below 50% health. This is just another addition to your now massive list of damaging abilities to help you and your team burst down the enemies. What makes this build so fun is the sheer amount of abilities at your disposal. You now have your 3 regular abilities, plus 2 charges of Body Slam, and 3 charges of Decimate. When you fight, you're going to be continuously using abilities that are damaging, disrupting, debuffing your enemies in a way that no other hero in this game can. I'll be the first to admit that the sheer amount of buttons you have to press here is pretty overwhelming. And while you have tons of abilities at your disposal, the global cooldowns of your abilities will limit your ability to pump them out in a quick enough succession to really blow somebody up. So this build is less about exploding an enemy and more about consistent output and enabling your teammates to capitalize on the plays that you create. Decimate will allow you to essentially have the enemies constantly slowed, and if you use your Groundbreaker and Wrecking Ball effectively, you should be able to create situations that will allow your team to isolate and focus targets. And due to the depth of your ability pool, then those situations do arrive, you will always be able to pile on some extra burst damage with Body Check, which combined with halving their healing received should be plenty for a deletion. But in the rare case that it's not, no problem, because the longer the fight goes, the more it favors the depth of your ability pool and your trait, which makes you even more threatening when you're at lower health. There is one glaring weakness in this build, and that is burst damage. If you're going into a team with heavy burst damage, especially one that is heavy on ability damage, I absolutely would not recommend this build, because you're only going to be effective if you can drag a fight out past your enemy's cooldowns. Seriously, do not underestimate how glaring this weakness is. If you can get past burst damage, you're going to feel like an unstoppable war machine, but there is a good chance that you will get popped before you can even have the chance to get through your first 2 charges of Decimate. And that is actually all I have for you on this build. I've gone a little longer than I was hoping, so thank you for hanging in there, and as always guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to like and share so other people can see, and if you want to see more of my videos, please do subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on this video in the comment section below, and once again, I'm going on longer than I wanted to, so I'll cut it off right here. Have a great week, everyone. Goodbye.